Unapologetic and free-spirited, Inez kidnaps her 6-year-old son, Terry, from the foster care system. Holding on to their secret and each other, mother and son set out to reclaim their sense of home, identity, and stability in a rapidly changing New York City. In the 90s, in 1001, written and directed by A.V. Rockwell in directorial debut, and starring Teyana Taylor, William Catlett, and in the role of Terry at ages 6, Aaron Kinsley Atola, age 13, Avon Courtney, and at age 17, Josiah Cross. In this film, selected by Dorian Missick, making his 5th appearance here on the Micheaux Mission. I think he is no longer a special guest. He is now officially our co-host, Dorian Missick. Dorian, what say you of 1001?
Yes, hands down. My film for best, my vote for best film of 2023. It was, and a lot of good stuff came out that year. So that's a big statement, you know. But yeah, I think it was obviously very slept on. I don't think they had the budget to really go after the Oscars as they could have, as they should have, because I saw Teyana's name on a lot of the short list, you know, based on critics, what they thought. But I just don't think they had enough money to push it over the finish line. But yeah, no, I thought it was just I thought it was a film that just captured, like you said, you know, single motherhood, the need for family, this woman's need for family. It's like, what would you do to have a family? Yeah. And she just almost, it's so far. She took it so far. And also just, I like New York as a backdrop because I witnessed firsthand gentrification and watched city change exactly like that. So I thought that was beautifully done. The performances were incredible. I mean, a lot of the kids, I feel like, were first time actors, and maybe they weren't, but they seemed like they were, and they stood up and really handled themselves. I mean, all the different boys that played the sons at different ages, every last one of them superb. So I just thought it was one of those films that I was like, man, I feel like it needs so much more attention. More people need to see it because it was just so well done. I can't wait to see what this director does next.
Yeah. It's one of those films where you read that as their directorial debut, and I'm like, get out of here. This is but it's just a feature film debut. It's done short films and commercials, but but I mean, the eye on this film and the script is just amazing. What did you think?
I mean, pretty much the same thing. I'll start with the kid actors, and I'll go ahead and because I thought the same thing about this character at these 3 different ages. And you know, you have Aaron Kingsley Adatola, who plays him when I think he's like 6 or 7.
Right. That's who we meet.
That's who we meet. There's Avon Courtney when there's a flash forward and he's like 14, 15. And then you have Josiah Cross when he's 17, 18, about to graduate from high school. And they really are these 3 wonderful performances, again, from young people. And not only them, they're like actors around them. Like at one point, Terry has a boy who, the young actor gives a great performance. I love the 2 girls that play his love interests at like 14 and 18. Oh, yeah. Like, I love them. And, talking about films that it kind of reminds you of this, that, and the other. Like, I wanted the camera to almost follow the girls, and it was almost like just another girl on the IRT.
I was thinking about that as well.
It was like, just their spirit. And, there's an exchange where Terry is trying to get her to call him and this, that, and the other. And they go on a date. And it's the sweetest date with, not to be cliche or stereotypical, but one of these sort of city, New York-y, like she real tough on her exterior. But you can tell she really is kind of putting him through the paces and making him earn it. I've been a big fan of William Catlett, you know, quite honestly, you know, I can't even say like I'm the cool guy or not, like on Black Lightning, frankly.
Yeah.
Like I saw him on Black Lightning and I was like, wow, he's frankly doing much better on this than he needs to.
Yeah. Do you not know this is
Right,
a
like
CW
it's like
show?
wow, you really doing work right now. And like since then, I've seen him in a couple of projects, and I thought he was fantastic as Lucky. But look, man, the story of this film is Teyana Taylor.
Amen. Amen.
And you know, as they say, I was not aware of your game. Like I did not know. Like you know, I don't look. You know, Teyana Taylor, and I, you know, she's sort of a celebrity, and you know, and it's the abs, and you know, like, but I mean, look, I'm just being real. Like Teyana Taylor on my radar she's a celebrity. You know, I wasn't quite sure what she did, and then the abs. But like, I didn't really know about her.
Right.
So I was completely taken aback by just how, like, this was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And speaking of, like, you know what it made me think of, speaking of these actors at 3 stages, like the highest praise I can give her over the past 10 years, I actually wrote in my notes, this is some Naomi Harris in Moonlight shit. Like just, again, this actress with all these different shades, all these different, like it's such a lived in actual character that it really, it kind of took my breath away. And then, you know, the story itself kind of like you mentioned, like this sort of, you know, it's poor people kind of dealing with this world that is hostile towards them for being poor. Like, you know, we've mentioned this before every night. Like one of the things that infuriates me is like these blind side stories where, you know, white people come in and adopt black kids. And, you know, if you just watch movies and media, you think it's just poor little indigent black children everywhere. And white people come and get them. Come here. Because we don't talk about the unorthodox, extra legal kind of sideways that black people have always taken care of children. Like like everybody sitting here got a cousin or somebody whose mama is really their aunt. Or you know, somebody on the street took in somebody, or just one of these, because that's what we do. And a lot of times we have to do it this way because when you go through the system, when you start filling out paperwork, things get kind of jammed up. So that paralleled with, which I thought was so smart, the way Rockwell kind of sets up, like you said, how gentrification slowly but surely is another hostile force.
Yep. And you just see
I
it
thought it was
slowly
absolutely brilliant.
creeping in from the edges throughout the entire movie.
Look, towards the end, where the social services people, the police converge on the apartment that's been falling apart because of what this
in real time. With the movie.
I was like, this is amazing. So I have nothing but praise for this film.
I mean, every little detail was just incredible. Because I mean, the house falling apart, and then when the social service people show up, it looks like, well, this is the situation in which he's living. So of course we need to get him out of it. Teyana Taylor, the line in the film that I think was just so telling, where she was like, I'm gonna mess it up, but it was something along the lines of like, nobody supports black women except other black women, and even that's a little bit.
And even that shit gets messy
because ultimately it was a black woman who insisted on turning her in.
Right.
And he's like, I'm about to be 18 in like 2 weeks. Like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's not even gonna matter.
Yeah. And she was like, I just can't sit on this information. I have to tattle. This black woman was like, I have to tattle on this other black woman.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And it was like, that to me was like almost the theme in the sense where she was like, even at my lowest, the person who will definitely try to do me in could probably be a black woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I really appreciate about this film is that considering that this is, Rockwell's her directorial debut, writing debut in a feature film, is that this film has the bravery of showing, this story of a woman whose life begins messy and is messy throughout.
Right.
She is like she is 100% messy, right? And in some respects, her own worst enemy, despite her good and grand intentions, right? And sometimes that's how it is, and it would have been very easy at the end of this movie to try and like tie things up in a nice little bow. Yeah. But no, they do not take the easy route in any way. And because of that, everything feels like not just authentic, painfully authentic.
Right.
Like there's the moment where after she is at just about her lowest, and because she's her husband is gone, and Terry's mad at her, and she climbs into the bed with some ramen noodles and just puts on something for TV. And dog, I ain't gonna lie, I have been there when you are at your lowest and you just put something on and you're not even really like watching it, but you find yourself like, like just laughing at it, just finding something to take your mind off of it. And you can see as she's trying to escape, but stuff is still permeating in her head. And then some of the words of the silly TV show that she's watching, totally silly, but in some way those words start to mean something to her, and a slight smile and tears are coming to her eyes in this quiet, powerful moment. And I was like, dog, I have been there, man.
Look, I love the direction.
That moment,
go ahead.
That moment, once again, where I say where the director played so much attention to detail is that moment she was watching Ricky Lake.
Yes.
And it spoke directly to her situation, which I thought was like really interesting. Because it was like the woman in the audience was saying like, I do all this stuff for other people and I'm gonna stop doing it because I always end up getting hurt as a result of it. And it was just like, that is how she sees her life, even though she doesn't see how she how she definitely put herself in the circumstances, but she just wanted to have a family.
That's all it was. That's all it was. It's trying to rebuild what she didn't have, a family.
Literally begged, borrowed, and still stole to have a family.
Right, right. Well, to your point, I thought that in a lot of ways, that's almost a microcosm of the whole film. Like the film starts, like I joked about, and again, maybe this is just me. Maybe like, you think of Teyana Taylor, and you think about her just in this kind of limited way. And, the first couple of minutes of the film, she kind of plays this character that you think you've seen before. Like you said, it's on Ricky Lake. She's doing hair, she's real spicy and this, that, and the other.
And she's wearing the wardrobe.
And she's wearing the clothes. And then the film just slowly but surely unpacks and peels back these layers so that by the time you get to this Ricky Lake moment, you realize she is the woman on Ricky Lake, but the woman on Ricky, like maybe you've been misjudging the woman on Ricky Lake. Like, we kind of look at people, and particularly we look at, frankly, poor black women, and we look at them a certain way and this, that, and the other. But this is this wonderful humanity that you see. And like you said, I love the fact that nothing is really resolved.
Right.
Because that's
it's almost
life.
like it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
I feel like they let us off the train before it just fell all the way off the rails. Yeah. Because I do feel like it was going to get worse. Like I see Terry, missing his opportunity to go to college, maybe getting in the streets, and the streets doing what the streets do to people. Maybe he gets on dope. Like it just doesn't feel like this is going anywhere good.
Right.
And whereas most movies would pick up from where they let us breathe. That's where another film done by, probably MGM and starring, probably Megan Thee Stallion would take from there and move on.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it would be a completely different thing, But it definitely makes you look at women in those circumstances, not just those circumstances, but makes you look at Black women so much differently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say that because look, I have an innate love for Black women as a result of watching my mother go through what she had to go through in order to raise me and my sisters. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you understand why there is a certain armor that they put on to get along in the world that people just deem as it's just too loud, too noisy, too annoying. But my mother had to speak up for me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She had to advocate for me. She couldn't allow herself to be a quiet person.
Right.
As soon as she saw something going wrong, she had to nip it in the bud because she knew if I let it go for another day, I could lose my kid to the system or whatever is going on,
Right.
And so that comes across as this pushy Black woman, this loud Black woman, this woman who's always wanting, and she was on me all the time. Don't go here. You can't be here at this time of night. I don't want to see you with these people, blah, blah, blah. And as a young man, you take it as this woman just never, I want to get as far away from this kind of life.
Sure.
And then you realize she was doing everything she could to make me, to help me navigate through this world.
Right.
Now, someone having that much love for a kid that's not even theirs.
Right.
Yeah.
Not even related to them.
Right.
She just saw this kid and was like, I want somebody to do for him what no one did for me.
What no one did for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't care if that means I have to lie, steal, cheat. Even Lucky was like, I don't understand why you're doing this mess.
Right. Right.
Who does this?
Right.
What poor person chooses to feed another mouth?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and she says it at one point, no matter what happens, I won. Because I know that, frankly, even to this point, you had a life that I never had.
And that's why, and it's fine. Everybody can have your own point of view if you don't feel like it's, it definitely ends in an ambiguous state, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel heartened for Terry going forward. One, because of where she put him, beg, borrow, and steal to put him in that place. But also, I think that, and it's funny because you bring up Lucky. Lucky gives a line like, "What do two criminals know about raising a child?"
Yeah.
And yet, the other outstanding part about this movie is that this movie allows this Black man of the streets and this Black boy, growing up, or young man, to be fully formed characters in themselves and embrace their own vulnerabilities, their own faults. Like I love that it, and especially like you said, like in Lesser Hands, there are some scenes with Lucky because Lucky gets sick in the movie, and then spends a portion in the hospital. And there are scenes where that would have taken place on his deathbed.
Right.
But no, he definitely has a come into quote unquote Jesus moment, but it feels 100% authentic because it's in the midst of his transitioning. And it's in the midst of him going through this catharsis of his life. And mind you, this is a man who you learn has gotten out of prison and states when he gets out of prison, I'm not going back.
That's right.
And despite what you may think of him and how he's living in the streets, did not go back to prison.
Look,
I go back.
Was adamant about not going back to prison. And saying what he said about Inez, Teyana Taylor's position in Terry's life, staked his own place in Terry's life and tried to, as much as he could, stand tall there for that boy.
Look, it's a moment where Terry is on the date and he kind of shifts Shorty on the other side and says, "This is for your protection," mirroring
what his father did.
What his father told him at the very beginning. And I was like, here it is right there. Lucky did what he was supposed to do.
Exactly.
Like if you are a man raising a boy, you raising that boy to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucky did what he was supposed to do.
And that boy as a man, you know, because of the way that Lucky and Inez raised him, and the dialogue that they always had between them, because there was no, like, she didn't mince any words, like like she, you know, the F-bombs, the S-bombs, all the bombs were right there for Terry from 6 to 17.
I said, oh, maybe I should put my earbuds on. I don't know if this needs to be playing out loud. Like
she did not but she had real conversation with him. And because of that, you know, when it comes to a point, because he's fighting and he's a young boy who's dealt with loss, you know, and he's always wondering, looking over his shoulder, you know, I'm not supposed to be who I am. Yeah. So he's a little bit unsure. But because of the environment in which they raised him, he is allowed to show his emotions and be very vulnerable right there in front of his parents and say exactly what is on his mind. And I believe because of that, that's why I root for him, because 9 times out of 10, when you are getting caught in the streets, you're running from something. And it's something that you haven't actually faced. You actually haven't dealt with. And I feel like he is dealing with that. It doesn't mean that his road ahead is not going to be easy, right, by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm rooting for him, and I don't think the streets get him on the other side. I think he just is lamenting that he can't take this walk with his mom and now his father.
Look, man, I worry that the streets get him, and that they get him not in that he like becomes like a big time guy, because he's super smart. Yeah, he knows how to work people, knows how to have conversations. But ultimately, when you hit a wall, it's that kind of thing where it's like, look what happened to Jay-Z when he had another opportunity. He's a billionaire. Mm-hmm. But before he was able to take advantage of the doors that he's now able to walk through, he apparently was very successful in the distribution of narcotics, you know, and he managed to stay out of jail, managed to not get shot, man. You know what I'm saying, man? A lot of things that are a lot of the pitfalls that happen to dudes who just kind of fall into it. But because he was obviously, as we have seen, very calculated, and they have already set up the fact that Terry is an exceptionally intelligent kid, kind, intelligent, you know, and so he's at that place where things come to him easily. But here he can't get out of this situation so simply, you know. I mean, she told him, like, you know, I don't know if that's true, but apparently it's a federal offense if you fill out an application for college and you don't have your correct information. You use a false name or something like that. Right. So he's already under the impression that, like, I can't go anywhere. I can't go to college. What can I do to make the most of this? And you do what you know. And what he knows is he loved Lucky. Lucky was his best example of a man, as only example from what we could tell in the story. And yes, Lucky was a man with a lot of heart, and who eventually did get a job, it looked like, with the city or something like that. Yeah. But he's from the block. And the things that intrigued him about Lucky in the beginning, when he was like, yo, how'd you get that scar? And he's like, yo, a man tried to take something from me. And he tried to take something that he wanted to take something from me that he wanted. Right. And he cut him. And, you know, you see the kid look very intrigued. Like, so you get the impression that he's into that a bit, but then also you do what you know. And that guy is the guy he knows. You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, I didn't make this chance. This didn't work. So I have to do what I know. So I fear for Terry that he then goes to the streets. He probably does very well in the streets, but even very well in the streets always has a tragic ending. Right. You know what I'm saying? True. So I just don't see it going that well for him, which I think is part of why the story is so tragic, because it's like, look, you know, there's so many people who look at people who come from the hood and they're like, all you got to do is just go to school and I worked my way out. Why can't you? Sure. And it's like, look, man, look at all of the things that he was fighting against just to have a normal life. Right. You know, just to be able to enjoy these things. This is a kid who just wanted to date. You know what I'm saying? He obviously saw the world differently. the young lady said to him, she was like, yo, why you hang out with them knuckleheads? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not here for you to make me feel like I'm lucky just because I'm on a date with you. And he was like, nah, I think you're beautiful. Like, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's obvious that he thinks outside of the box, that he's a kid who needs other opportunities and other options. And it felt to me that this what was she, his counselor? That she was like, on bringing it to a halt. Like, it was almost as if she wasn't black or she ain't know no black people.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't work in that system your whole career. Like, you didn't understand that these kids are coming from very different scenarios. So why would she almost acted like he got caught and he was at like Exeter or like one of those schools where they just don't know how to deal with black people in black situations.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, you don't understand that like, you don't have to take it to the level that you're taking it. It's very, she to me is the actual villain of the film.
Right. Or, and then, in her, I'm sure she's a mandated reporter and this, that, and the other, like, lose the paperwork for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
That's the thing.
Why you gotta move on this thing so fast?
Right.
She in the house calling, he in the office, she picking up the call right then and there. Like, I got to do this. And he's like, wait, time out. Let's take a breath.
It's a shame because it's almost like Teyana Taylor's character, like all mothers, saw this high school as an opportunity. I want the best for my children. But she's blinded by opportunity. He probably should have stayed at his neighborhood school where he could have kind of flown under the radar, gone on his life. Because, now it's all this spotlight on him at the big school.
Yeah, but I mean, but what gets him in trouble is ultimately this paperwork. But I mean, the paperwork would have come into play eventually.
I mean, I guess.
I mean,
the paperwork was good enough to get him in the school that he was in, and they flash forward 4 or 5 years. Like the paperwork.
When he was getting ready to go to college, it was clear that they were saying like he seemed to be MIT material. Right. So you're not gonna get that at Lean On Me. So, if you go to Eastside High School, they are automatically, those counselors are like, look, you could try this community college, or they'll probably be thrown off by looking at applications for Ivy League schools. So he already is shot in the leg just by going to that school. Right. So I understood the mom's pressure to be like, let's put him where even in the best place, even if he comes in third, he's going to be, worlds ahead of if he had gone to the local school where, they don't even, all they do is take attendance.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I understood the fight for that, and I do feel like he would have had to bump up against that at some point anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Now, to your point, it probably would have come on the other side of 18. It would have been a little bit easier to deal with. But yeah.
Right.
How did you guys feel about, I love the depiction. Like I said, it's so insidious the way that gentrification is just like, you hear it first, like in like just in the news, the election of Giuliani and the election of Bloomberg and how he's going to change New York. And then you see somebody buying a building across the street. And now that person has bought her building, and and how gentrification just starts, just like a weed, just starts growing in and just start ripping things from the scene. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop and Frisk was definitely like,
oh my God.
Having lived through it, it was the bane of a young black man's existence. Like you could be doing anything and it just boom, just stop you, get you. I had a friend who spent the night in jail one time. He bought a Lucy, which they sell you. Lucy's are loose cigarettes they sell at the bodega. I in the bodega lit it for him, right? So he can smoke it. So as he's walking out of the bodega, the cop stops him. Can't smoke in there. Takes him to jail. He spent the night in jail. And he's like, the dude lit it for me.
Right.
And it was just like, nah, that was what it was. That was the time that they were on. So it was like that when those two kids were walking down the street and they just stopped them and it was like no reason, nothing made any sense. It was clear. And he was such a goody. He was like, I just want to call that out to you, Mom, so you can understand that I'm not moving like these kids.
Right.
And I thought that was a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful point. A.V. Rockwell really understood these people. And more importantly, she really loves these people.
Right.
Oh, amen.
Right. And, and to your point, again, regentrification, I'm going to keep saying it, as this hostile force. Like, it is actively hostile towards people. And, I think the film lands in 2007.
Yeah. Almost
20 years later. Like you see we live in Philadelphia, got peoples in New York, got people in DC, these kind of cities. And you see again how they've, development has really pushed people out and scattered them. And you just can't be like, look, it's not the same thing at all. My daughter's in college now in DC, but it is like, it kills me how she can't be a broke college student. Like, you can't be a broke college student.
No.
Like, when we were in school, you could get a slice of pizza. Like, it was a place you could get some wings. It was a place, it was a place like Burrito Brothers. You get a big ass burrito and that holds you all day. Like, you can't eat cheap. You can't drink cheap. There's nowhere to go cheap. Like, they talk about these, ain't no third spaces. Like, it is. And this film, I thought, did such a great job capturing the seed of it. Mm-hmm. And you see it growing. Like that dude sending in the workmen to destroy her apartment. I was like, to your point about A.V. Rockwell knows these people. I said, that's some real, she knows.
Yeah, that's some life experience.
Like, this is a real thing that she knows about.
That was so slick how he did it, but of it happening all over every ghetto in America, that they decide that this is anywhere where white people find some oil, that's where they're going to sit down. And,
you know
what I'm saying? Yeah, and so that was it. They're like, there's some gold in these here hills. We're going to go get these natives out of here.
Look.
And, post up. And that it's done in such a, like you said, in an insidious manner where it's just like, this is unfathomable, but it happened all over. And Harlem, it happened in Brooklyn. We're watching it in the Bronx right now. It's everywhere. New York is not the old New York. And there's so many ways in which that's a good thing. But that's not the old New York. I enjoy not having to worry as much about getting stabbed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
However, the flip side of that comes with people telling you, I don't want you walking your dog on this street. This is a no dog street.
How about that?
What?
Yeah.
What?
So, it comes with things, one of the things that, like we said with A.V., the A.V. Rockwell and her understanding of these characters and her love and care for these characters, as an actor, when I meet with directors about projects, my first question for them is always, why are you doing this? Why do you want to tell this story? Why is this the story you want to tell? And that is very revealing about how they're going to treat the characters and in respect how they're going to treat you as an actor on set,
Right.
Because if it's just a job, then you're just, you're going to be treated in that way. And you're going to feel that energy in all aspects of the film and all aspects of the making of it. But if it's somebody who she feels very closely connected to and all of that, like it's an honor to tell those stories for people, to help them get those stories out. And she just really, it wasn't a single false note played by Teyana Taylor's acting. It wasn't a single moment where I was like, oh, okay, she faked that one, but who cares? Everything just felt so great, just so on the money and so painful, because you almost you almost don't realize the fact that what she did is essentially kidnapping.
Right.
That's why she was so nervous when she bought the paper in the beginning. When she was like, "You got anything about the kid who got snatched up in Brooklyn?" And the bodega guy was like, "I don't know what you even talking about, lady." Like,
right.
Like, yeah, but she was making sure, she was checking the temperature to see, what's going on. But we all know if a black child gets snatched, nobody care.
Right. Well, I love that she hid, like she ran from Brooklyn and hid in Harlem.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's what
That's
Cool.
that's what
it's
we
just
do.
it's a whole nother world.
Hey man, I got family in Queens. I got a cousin who live in the Bronx. We ain't seen him since probably '97, but we know he's up there.
I was just about to say that's some real New York stuff too. Like you talk to people from Brooklyn, they act like the Bronx is a field trip.
Yeah.
Hey man, till I turned 20 something years old, I have been to the Bronx maybe 4 times, and two of them was to go to the zoo on a school trip. It must be the Bronx is a long train ride, man, and that's a long way to run home.
It's a long train ride.
New Yorkers.
It's a long subway train ride.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is not Amtrak, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about.
I mean,
Might as well be. It's a long
she said that job in Queens was 2 hours. I was like, that is kind of far.
Yeah, I was feeling on that.
Yeah, but you heard what Mama said, like, you young kids. Yeah.
Right.
Because y'all don't know. Get up. That means you got to get up at 5 o'clock. That's right. Be there on time. Shoot. That's what that means. All right. Well, Dorian, 1001, 2023. You said it was your favorite film of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I had 2 movies come out that year, so that's almost blasphemy. Yeah. And I was proud of the films, so I'm not even down in my films. I thought I was some good movies, but like that was.
It's funny when we were casting things. I thought Dorian was going to say, I mean, I think I'd be great in that.
Oh yeah.
I was waiting for that.
I did see that script, but I was shooting the burial when I saw the script. Yeah.
You know, it's funny you talk about the films that you were in. One of the interesting notes about the 5 Heartbeats that came up at our screening was that the film was shot in reverse order. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. It was shot in reverse order specifically because Robert Townsend, ladies and gentlemen, wanted at the end of the film where everybody's got their afros and stuff like that. He didn't want to have to deal with wigs.
Right, he didn't want wigs.
He wanted everybody to have their own, it was their own hair. And everybody had their own hair except John Canada Terrell,
Yes.
who was always going to have a slick back.
Always.
Always going to have a slick back.
Yeah.
But everybody had their own afros, right? Because he did not want to deal with wigs.
Mm-hmm.
I know where you're going.
Speaking of wigs, Vincent, have you taken time yet to sit down with Netflix Shirley?
Yes.
Starring Regina King.
I have.
And one Dorian Missick.
Yes. It's so is that did you keep that when you wrapped her?
I did not keep the wig though. Yeah. Wigs are tough, man. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. I look at myself and I'm like, I don't look like me. That must be a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like, whoa, that brother is acting.
There was a review where they mentioned the wig. And I was kind of interested. It was like, he did a great job, even though he had to fight against his wig. And I was like, that's cold-blooded.
Dorian said, y'all got me for 2 scenes. That's it. I'm not leaving this room. That's it. I was like, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
There's a choice.
All right, man, look, my favorite kind of actor, a working one. So I was like, hey, man, wear your wig. Do your thing, brother.
Do your thing. Omar doesn't have these problems. I just want to point this out.
Hey.
You must be see.
Did you see Django Unchained?
Okay, that was okay. All right. He's got a little bit more stroke now.
I said it before.
There was a wig issue. I remember he said to me specifically, he complained about a wig, and I can't remember what movie it was in because I don't want to be bashing hair people. But it was something that he said it was a wig that people constantly got at him about, and I don't remember what movie it was.
It may have been Django.
Look, I've said it before. I think I said it when y'all were on before. That getup he had in Django, my wife said, "That's your boy," and I said, "Who?" And she said, "Omar." Now, I only know one actor named Omar. I said, Omar who?
Right.
Because I did not recognize him at all in that getup. And I said, much like with you, I said, boy, that brother is acting. Brother is acting.
Yo, that was his, they cut his hair to look like that too. And the reason why I remember it so well is because that was the same year when Simone and I got married and Omar was in my wedding. And he's the one brother in the wedding with a hat on. Because they were mid shooting the film and he took a couple of days off to come to the Bahamas and get in our wedding. And I was like, I ain't even gonna do it to you, man. I would never make you wear that. And I was really like, I just can't have you ruining my wedding pictures with that.
Because pictures are forever.
Yeah. I need you to cover that up. Right. So, he got a nice page boy hat. He looked great. It fit the theme of the wedding, but he's the one dude with a hat on.
Sweet. All right, Dorian, would you recommend that people watch 1001?
I would. I scream from the mountaintop. I tell it to everybody. I have meetings with other directors and I tell them they should see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when I don't think what they're selling is good. I'm like, you should check this movie out. You might learn something.
Holla. What about you, Vince?
Yeah, absolutely. This is an extraordinary debut.
Oh, definitely.
By this director, and A.V. Rockwell is quickly on my list of people that I look for. And again, just to reflect my own ignorance, like the only thing I really knew about Teyana Taylor, like when I thought about her before today, like she's in Coming to America.
Yes,
and I just she's just sort of in the atmosphere as a celebrity, but I really, really hope she keeps acting. And does more work and does more film work because she was amazing. And the whole cast, like the whole cast was great. Like we haven't talked about the actress that plays her girlfriend, who I thought, speaking of just another girl in the IRT, like I kind of, there's a beat at the beginning where she first takes Terry to her girlfriend's house with the girlfriend and the mother. And I said I could spend about 20 minutes here. That actress is Terry Abney. Terry Abney, who plays her mom?
Her mother is played by Delisa Reynolds.
I loved all three of them together. Like when she landed at the end on black women are the only people that help black women, and even then the shit gets messy. Mm-hmm. That could have been a movie.
Yeah.
So, I love their performances. I love the performances of all the principals that we've talked about. I thought it was shot well. The story, like it was an actual story. Mm-hmm. So, just
masterpiece.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's funny, you brought up Just Another Girl on the IRT, and I was watching this film, and I think maybe it's partly because of how Teyana is dressed for most of the movie as well. This is almost like, the 21st century, Just Another Girl on the IRT. I was feeling that as I was watching this film. So yeah, I would absolutely, absolutely recommend this. And in fact, I planned on introducing this to my sisters, and we were supposed to be spending some time this weekend. Sure. So, they always just like, well, when are we going to watch, movie man? So this is what we're going to sit and watch.
It's not a light film. I don't know if I'd show it this weekend at the cookout.
Well, it's not a cookout. We're just getting together.
I was about to say,
no, it's not the cookout movie.
It's a heavy movie. All right.
Yeah, you can kind of shake that one off. Yeah, like watch it during the day so you can get some drinks at night.
Well, that's what we're going to be doing. Okay. We're just going to be sitting around, but I think it's a movie. I think it's a movie. You know what? I think it's a movie worth watching, not the cookout.
Right.
But sitting around like we're going to, I think the conversations that this movie will engender about black women, about black men, about the systems and all of the systems and systemic racism that is on display in this film. I think that this is definitely a film worth visiting, and with a small crowd to engender those conversations.
All right.
And introduced to Teyana Taylor and the work of A.V. Rockwell.
All right.